So welcome back to the Empowerment Podcast.
We have a very special topic today, and it is something what we both encounter, and you may encounter it too. It is, maybe you know the situation, if you get for something what you did 100 acknowledgements and people say to you, you did it great and it was fascinating and they loved it, and then this one person is criticizing you, yeah, and then the attention is fixed and you only can think about this situation and you can't see all the acknowledgement anymore. And we found it very interesting because it has to do with empowerment, whether empowerment goes off the window. And we both have some pretty good life examples for that.
Yeah, let me start and share my example with you guys. So for my work, I work a lot with groups, and at the end of every session, I always ask how they experienced a certain session. And 9 out of 10 times, people say they learned a lot of things, or they were very interested, or they learned more about themselves. And even right now, I'm finishing up a program where tens of people have already had, in my opinion, some really good successes. And then there's the one or maybe two people who are like, yeah, I did not like so and so and so. And even when I drive back in my car, I think about those ones. There were 8 people who were like, this was awesome. And one person that was like, no, not for me. And I still think about that one. And I wonder what that is about. How's that for you, Christina?
Yeah, I have also an example. I write blog articles, and I get a lot of, most of the time people like them and they say great and la 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 la. And I had this one article, I wanted a friend to read over it. And actually I wanted to hear that it's great because I expected it already. And she didn't say that. She said, yeah, I can't relate to that. I would write it differently. And that made something with me in that moment. And I couldn't see anymore all the people who liked it. So I also was wondering why I took my whole attention and my energy for days that I thought about it, instead of just taking it as in the same wake as the other. I don't know if you say it like that, wake as the other people's feedback. So I also wonder what that is. And we both discussed that, why it is so easy to get distracted and to get disempowered by this one person, or maybe a person even does not mean it like that, and we still take it very personally.
Maybe they even say it to help us.
Right.
And so we are like, no, this is like, I guess for me, it feels personal.
For me too.
It feels personal.
But what I discovered already is that I also take acknowledgement personal. So why should you not take the other side personal too? So if you always relate it to yourself, then it's also both ways. Huh?
Yeah. Yeah, now that you say it, it does feel like sometimes my ego gets a little bloated from acknowledgement. Like it goes big, it goes bigger, bigger. And then I know for myself, I like that sensation. But then someone critical comes along, and that becomes sort of a blemish on that.
What?
Growing of the ego. Blemish means like a stain. It becomes a stain on it, and it's not exactly the way I wanted it to be.
We so inwardly search for acknowledgement, admiration, that people say we are good, that we sometimes mix it up, I think, with things we do. I mean, we are not what we do, but we believe that, and we get our acknowledgement via our working attitude, which is a totally different topic, but we can discuss it too. But it's more like how to get back to this, that you can take it as something to work with instead of something what does something with your self-esteem in that moment.
I realize that while you say that, maybe I'm just very identified with my work at that moment. So when they say something about the product, the training that I just delivered, then they say that about me. But it's the identification that was confusing me, instead of that I am who I am and I'm delivering a certain product that they can or cannot like.
I'm German. I mean, we define ourselves by performing, not how we are. Whom do you talking to? Yeah. That's such a difference. Separating it from each other.
Yeah. And I was thinking of reading this quote by Harry Palmer about fear. That fear is a belief in your inadequacy to deal with something. Fear is a belief in your inadequacy to deal with something.
So when somebody says something what is not that what we wanted to hear, it triggers something in us. And fear is an easy response in our consciousness about things which feel threatening, or we have to defend, or we don't want to hear it. So yeah, but this is actually only an ability to just take viewpoints.
Yeah.
And a big ego is not helping. That's also what we discovered.
It is really not. No, because you can, if your ego is very big, it's easy to hit something in that big head of
yeah.
You can easily you get more easily hit. So, and if you are very identified with something, and then someone says something, it's not good, and I feel like, oh, I'm not good enough, that triggers a fear in me that I cannot deal with it. Because if I am not good enough, how can I overcome that? But it's very different what you said. If we separate maybe ourselves from our work, and it's not about us, but it's about the work, that the work may or may not be good enough, that we can change.
Yeah.
Maybe even more easily change.
Yeah. And I also wonder if it's something I have to learn more in my life, to give good feedback. I mean, maybe I can even acknowledge more, but also, like, of course, also giving other feedback. But I mean, sometimes I only see what's wrong in people, and then I say it or I don't say it. But feel if it's really valuable for the other, because when somebody's continuously doing something what I see as it could be improved, then it's maybe helpful to say it. But who am I to correct everyone? That's also has a power. Correction or feedback has a power on people.
It does. And maybe we can, you're right, I can also be more mindful of how I use that power. Is it always important to correct something?
Yeah.
And what are you correcting? Are you correcting the person, or are you correcting the work? And I think I'm sometimes very focusing on the person as well. So maybe if I focus more on the work that they did and not so much on the person, that's also easier for them to take the feedback too.
Yeah. So that's a good point. We can do something for others to make it easier to take it. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. That would make the world better if we all become better in that.
Yeah. And then we can just focus on the work that's important to us and focus on doing that better and better and enjoying it, and not become so entangled in the whole process, and stop it if we feel disempowered because of one or two critical comments, maybe among tens of or hundreds of positive ones.
Yeah, and I mean, I wonder if it's really stopping us from learning, that we are not good in this ability sometimes, because what I do then is I shut down from any feedback, what doesn't help at all, or I don't give any feedback anymore to other people because I did say something and they took it personally. And so we always like not talk about what we actually feel, or we don't get feedback for things which we actually need. That's not make us grow. So in the end, that's not progress.
Like, you mean like sometimes you shut down?
Yeah, I mean, I don't ask anymore for feedback because I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
Which is sometimes also okay, I think. Sometimes it's okay to just do it, but
to protect yourself a little, like, no, I'm just gonna do it and I'm not gonna ask for feedback in the moment. Yeah.
But when it's out of fear that I don't want feedback, I may avoid a growing process there. Maybe it is something what I need to hear, what it's helping me. That's what I mean.
Reminds me of what you said earlier in another one of our episodes, that we can do it maybe more out of kindness. Like maybe we can be mindful of from where we share the feedback. Maybe I'm realizing I'm also giving feedback sometimes to people to make myself better again.
Really?
Yeah. I'm sure
that's now surprising me.
That is a big surprise to you. Maybe when we do it out of kindness, we also focus on other things. Then yeah.
Right. So kindness does not mean to say always kind words. Yeah? Again, it's also it can be very kind to be very honest.
Yeah. Well, okay.
Good point to stop for today. Thank you for listening. And follow us on YouTube. And we will publish very soon the next episode. See you soon.
See you soon. Bye.